Crapmore gang, there are some very disturbing individuals controlling society right now, okay? We heard from the Epstein files, all these creepy, weird men behind the scenes. They're running everything. They're abusing kids. They're doing crazy stuff. But one of the biggest names that keeps coming up as far as demonic, powerful men that are up to no good is Peter Thiel. Now, this guy has been associated with some very, very dark and unusual things. He has been apparently heavily included in the Epstein files. He's mentioned he's all up in there, okay? But there's a bunch of other things that have been going viral with him lately that are very strange, and I'm going to talk to you about them in this video. Namely, the suspicious death of his boyfriend in 2023 and his connections to the streamer Clavicular, where people are saying that he's actually bankrolling him. So first off, just to give you some context of Peter Thiel, I want to show you just a little bit of background from this video from James Lee. He did a really good kind of breakdown of Peter Thiel's background and who he is. I'm going to show you this to give you the context, and then I'm going to show you some of the disturbing plans that Peter Thiel and Epstein were allegedly coordinating together, as exposed by the Epstein files.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
This is dark, right? It's saying you would like the human race to endure. He's like, the answer for any good human non-reptilian would be absolutely. Absolutely. I want the human race to prosper and persist. There's no version of this where you hesitate on that. I don't care what his justification is going to be. You want the human race to endure, right? Right?
So many questions implicit in this.
Should the human race survive?
Yes, the guy who is not so sure whether or not humans should exist. Now, some background on Thiel. He was the co-founder of PayPal alongside Elon Musk. He was also the first major investor in Facebook. Coincidentally, I don't know if you know this, founded on the same day DARPA ended their LifeLog program, which was a program sought to, quote, trace the threads of an individual's life in terms of events, states, and relationship. That sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? He also co-founded Palantir, a data analytics and surveillance company used by many government intel and military agencies, including the CIA, NSA, ICE, and the IDF. Now, Thiel, like Epstein, has been known to host a sex party or two in his prime. Ben Goggins of NBC News wrote that Thiel's parties have been, quote, legendary in gay circles for years and repeatedly characterized as debaucherous, with Thiel himself being quoted as saying, yeah, we know how to have some no-holds-barred gay fun.
Now look, I got no problem with anyone doing what they want to do, you know what I'm saying, sexuality, I accept whatever anybody wants to do, especially in the privacy of their own lair, but that is pretty hilarious. Yeah, we know how to have some no-holds-barred gay fun. I don't know if, maybe some of those holds should have been barred. I don't know if some holds should be barred, but hey, you have all the gay fun you want. I'm in favor of that. But this guy's definitely dark.
Thiel has also been working on building his own island in the French Polynesia to basically establish a kind of a non-governmental colony.
Always with the islands, right? These rich billionaires with their strange plans. Always with the islands.
Now, just to be clear, there's no record that implicates Thiel in Epstein's illegal underage sex trafficking operation, but what has been well documented now are their ties in academics and business.
You know, nobody is talking about this. Peter Thiel, it's obvious to me that he fits in on that academic side of the Jeffrey Epstein operation. He worked with all of these people and he held academic symposiums at Little St. James, at the island. But what's so crazy about this that I don't think a lot of people are focused on is that there are many survivors that have come out now in the last 5 years saying that they weren't just sexually abused.
I woke up in a laboratory there one night, but there were scientists there, you know, and I woke up one night in a laboratory, paralyzed and naked on a table. They did something to me and they don't want anyone knowing about it. And I came back from there, I was hospitalized 10 times with panic attacks. And I'd been a very, very healthy, happy girl before I was taken.
That, by the way, was a clip from a new podcast that I'm co-hosting called Today-ish. Everybody should subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And we get into some pretty interesting things, including things that the mainstream won't talk about, as you just saw there, which I think also begs the question, what else were these guys up to on that island? Right, it has been widely reported that Peter Thiel has been injecting himself for years with young people's blood. Allegedly, he's been spending $40,000 a quarter on regular transfusions from 18-year-olds. Yeah, is it starting to make sense now? His his transhumanist vision and why he can't give a straightforward answer on whether or not he thinks humans should exist. Because I think if it isn't evident yet, it should be now that his vision for the future is clearly aimed at achieving some kind of post-human state where these elites ostensibly control every aspect of society, which brings
I think these guys want to live forever and they don't want any new people. They just want to live forever and be in charge of everything. That's how I feel like the impression I get. They all want to live forever. They want to have an island. They're doing blood transfusions, stem cells, all type of stuff. Now, there have been some pretty nefarious things revealed in emails in the Epstein files that kind of break down some of the activities that Thiel and Epstein were allegedly coordinating together. So it says Peter Thiel may have been involved in Epstein's trafficking ring, politics as a cover. Okay, this guy says, I've been noticing weird emails between Epstein and Peter Thiel. They keep referencing meeting for politics, but this one jumped out at me as explaining it. They seem to be using the word as cover because this directly asks him what region would keep him the most appetizer and how the group will keep him entertained. And Peter got really into politics that year. There's a few like this, so let's just see. Right, so back and forth. It says, a weekend filled with interesting politics at my house. Sunday come. You will love it. From Jeffrey Epstein. They said, or October the 1st or 2nd. They said, where would be good for you and what types of people would you find the most appetizing? Europe, Mideast, Russian, politics, science, woo. Said, kind of obsessed with politics this year. Russian, European, always interesting. Said, I'm certain the group can keep you entertained, okay? People are saying it appears they had a very big need for blonde Eastern European Russian girls, although isn't Thiel gay? Said, I'm 100% sure that Epstein catered to whatever his sick group of friends wanted. There are others involved who knowingly went for boys or men like Kevin Spacey. Says one statement from a child said the younger girls got more money or were worth more. These things are just vile. All right. So I said this months ago and the response was he didn't go because he's gay. Little boys were being trafficked too. Said he... Okay. So people are saying that he's compromised, and there's other sort of weird emails between Thiel and Epstein that have come up. It says Jeffrey Epstein and Palantir's Peter Thiel planned how to destabilize Iraq, Iran, Libya, Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, and Egypt. The more of a mess with just lots of bad guys on different sides, the less we will do. Every Middle Eastern war was for Israel. So it says, I keep hearing your intentionality argument. Imagine if this messes what Obama really wanted. Iraq, Iran, Libya, Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, Egypt. We would have to admit a strategy brilliantly executed. That was from Epstein to Peter Thiel. And Thiel replied, the intentionality argument would center on making sure the US gets less involved with the rest of the world. I think that's the plan. The more of a mess with just lots of bad guys on different sides, the less we will do. So they're saying if we make a big old mess over there, we haven't really got to do much. Just let them destroy themselves and we can scoop up the profits. Okay, it says every day I'm getting blown away by new information coming out. It is terrifying. Have any of you guys noticed these complete effing knuckleheads can't write a proper email that's more than 2 paragraphs long, and somehow they're running the world in an international PDF ring and I can't get a proper job that makes use of my abilities with 2 degrees and an MA? It's unfortunate. They're saying Epstein had dyslexia. He was good at math but couldn't spell to save his life. I know a lot of geniuses who are just autistic guys who are good at math. Fair enough. Okay, still waiting for the 9/11 emails. Well, there's a whole bunch of 2001 emails that are missing, funnily enough. But that's conversation for another day. The last Epstein and Thiel connection here says Jeffrey Epstein and Peter Thiel discussing how returning culture back to tribalism will let them collapse the worldwide economy so they can buy everything at a bargain price. These guys just want everything for themselves, all right? So this is a message from Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Thiel. It says, Brexit, just the beginning. Thiel said, of what? And Jeffrey said, return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed 0 interest rates were too high. And as I said in your office, finding things on their way to the collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. They want to buy everything at a discount. Okay, they want to buy all your stuff. They want to buy your home. All right, they want to buy absolutely everything you got going on. So people are in the comments saying, what's the point of growing your wealth when you're already a billionaire at the cost of others' lives? People are saying it's just a mental illness, just one approved by society. So Brexit and anti-globalism were the real conspiracy all along. Okay, very, very interesting. The logic behind this is as follows. I keep my network safe while I crush yours. I keep you at bay in small island-like local communities. I control the network connecting the isolated islands. You hate your neighbor, you hate the network. I move freely from island to island, and you lose control over the system I rule. Okay, they're saying this was Charles Manson's logic when he was running around with his family murdering people. They wanted to start a race war, then come out from hiding to, at the end, to rule. Thiel is just reading from Ayn Rand's draft of the same script, not realizing his bodyguards will have him hogtied in the broom closet of his bunker on day 2 of the apocalypse that he aims to bring about. That's crazy. Now, look, okay, I don't want to get sued, don't want to get in trouble. This is just some public information, all right, and I'm not connecting any dots, but Okay. As I've discussed, there's been many suspicious deaths connected to Jeffrey Epstein, and there is a lot of talk at the moment about this suspicious death that is going on related to Peter Thiel. This is Peter Thiel's Instagram model boyfriend plunged to his death weeks after witnessing messy showdown between the billionaire mogul and his husband when he crashed the couple's New Year bash. What? Excuse me? Okay. Another person plunging to their death. So basically, okay, it says married billionaire mogul Peter Thiel, whose male model boyfriend Jeff Thomas died after plunging from a Miami high-rise last month, had a messy confrontation with his husband during the couple's New Year's Eve party after Thomas was discovered among the guests, Daily Mail can now reveal. Thomas was in a 3-year relationship with PayPal co-founder Thiel, who put him up in a $13 million mansion tucked away in the Hollywood Hills, gifted him with lavish European trips, a $300,000 sports car, and the most coveted parties in town. Now their circle of friends believe that Thomas's death, a suspected suicide, was related, at least in part, to his depression over the incident after he was financially cut off from Thiel's largesse. The exchange took place when Matt Danesian, Thiel's husband and longtime partner, arrived separately to join their New Year's celebration, only to discover Thomas was one of partygoers at the posh event held at Thiel's Miami Beach compound. How you got compound? I need to get that off screen. Dan Zeeson, 56, was enraged that Thomas was among the attendees and started a verbal confrontation with Thiel in front of a room full of guests. Apparently, the romance between the 55-year-old Thiel and the 35-year-old Thomas, 20 years his junior, was an open secret in elite gay circles, particularly LA. Thomas knew Thiel was married, but whether or not Dan Zeeson was aware of the relationship is uncertain. But during the confrontation, Dan Zeeson was heard asking Thiel, why is he here? Thomas showed up to the party because he had been Thiel's kept lover for years, though he wasn't on the official guest list approved by Dan Zeeson. He went to the New Year's event anyway, a yearly event that the power couple are known and are famous for throwing. And basically a text message, a photo obtained from Daily Mail, shows smiling Thomas at the party with friends Chris Farmer and Drew Schiff taken in the backyard of Thiel's property. So they would take messages. And it was looking all good for a minute. Okay, crazy, right? They got some shit going on behind the scenes over these here. Okay, it's a massive waterfront compound in Miami made up of 2 luxury homes put together. That is wealth on another level. Got 2 cribs put together. Just put them together. It's crazy. Okay, absolutely beautiful home. Crazy. Dan Zeeson was the person who arranged the guest list for the exclusive event, and that's what made his side piece, I guess, a presence at the family home even more shocking and upsetting. Friends said Thomas would have never gone if he knew that Thiel's husband would be attending. Of course he was attending. Dan Zeeson requested Thomas be escorted from the party by security. Witnesses say the incident was publicly humiliating for Thomas. 100 guests attended the event at the lavish estate. And basically on March the 8th, weeks after the showdown, Thomas died after falling from the balcony of his Miami high-rise in what police are investigating as a possible checking out, but the official cause of death has not been established. People said Thomas's mental health declined after the trauma of the New Year's Eve party. That's so sad. It is a mess. Okay. Basically, Thomas felt compelled to talk about Thiel's hypocrisy as an actively gay man who's the largest funder of Donald Trump's MAGA movement. He described himself as a kept boyfriend of Thiel, who's estimated to be worth $8 billion. They apparently got romantically involved in late 2019 before COVID. Basically, they're saying the stunning model provided intimacy in exchange for financial support and stability. You already heard about the $13 million crib, the $300,000 car. He was living the lap of luxury. But after the New Year's Eve incident, he was cut off by Thiel. Thomas violated the terms of his non-disclosure agreement after he spoke to the media, and that's when their relationship began to fray. Now, that is a scary detail. Okay, he would open up about his struggles with mental health. He posted selfies of himself in a lot of places. He had a French, he had a Birkin. He was on that Peter Thiel program. Okay, he was planning to become a Miami firefighter, but 48 hours before his death, he was FaceTiming his family, sharing excitement about completing his EMT course in his future in Miami. Doesn't really make sense. He did post a selfie in a plunge pool with the caption, "A cold plunge a day keeps the doctor away," with the hashtag cold plunge wellness mental health. Now, that doesn't sound like somebody that would want to check out, but hey, stranger things have happened. Okay, it is quite scary. It just makes you wonder what was really going on with these guys, right? A police report shared that Miami police were called to the luxury building in Brickell at 4:12 p.m. When emergency personnel arrived, his body was found on the pool deck outside the Icon Brickell complex, and he was pronounced dead by fire and rescue. His dog was taken by animal control, and his ex-girlfriend his ex-boyfriend would now be taking care of it. They said the investigation is ongoing. Okay, the detectives had been in contact with Thiel and planned to interview him as part of the probe, but there's no suggestion of any wrongdoing by Thiel, right? And I'm not suggesting there's any wrongdoing by Thiel, but it is a bit strange, okay? It is a little bit strange. They're saying, I did wonder why he was at Peter's party for New Year's when Matt had no idea who he was. That might make sense then. Yeah, it is a little bit strange, okay? Thomas would speak in audio transcripts about his relationship with Peter Thiel. Did Peter want me to be his boyfriend? Yes, I think he fantasizes about being like me versus maybe Matt sometimes, but I think we can all love multiple people. I try to understand Peter's needs because he was understanding mine. I think he knew I needed help and I asked for it, and basically anything I asked I could get. But he talked about the downsides of being kept. He said it's stressful. Peter wanted me to get, the nicest car, the nicest house. He wanted to show me his power, to kind of show that he had, me in his dollhouse. He would take care of me always. But I don't think it's satisfying to be kept. During their first intimate lunch at Thiel's home in the Hollywood Hills in late 2019, Thomas learned more about Thiel's relationship with his partner. I was shocked when they announced they were having kids together. He described himself as a proud pet dad. It was one of the first lunches we had at Met's place, and we were sitting outside, and I said, do you like dogs? He said, no. And I said, well, I don't trust you. People are crazy about their dogs. It is interesting. The photo of him in the plunge pool taken the day he died was timestamped 11:43. The billionaire financier met Thomas in 2015-16 at the Coachella Festival, and Thiel was dating a boy named Francesco Fran Lugli. Thiel broke off his relationship with Lugli when he decided to marry Dan Ziesen, and they got married in Vienna, Austria. They recently became parents of baby girls born by surrogate, which is really interesting. Apparently, part of their arrangement included Thiel remaining faithful to his partner and best friend. Clearly, that didn't work out. Okay, Thiel and Lugli remained friends long after. Thiel hooked him up with a cushy job at a data mining spy tech firm, Palantir Technology. You know all about Palantir. Really, really sad, quite suspect and suspicious situation that just does make you think. Okay, now bring us to today. Okay, Peter Thiel is now apparently putting some money behind another cute-looking young man. All right, very handsome, desirable, looks maxer, Clavicular. People are saying that Thiel had actually begun actively pursuing Clavicular. I don't know if it's romantically or if it's more financially,
Do you know who
but something's going on.
Peter Thiel is? Peter Thiel, yeah. He's a billionaire that owns Palantir. I got invited to a Peter Thiel party. You think that's going to be a Diddy party? Probably. Whew.
Yeah.
Billionaires, they get a little creepy. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't want to get diddied. Hey, anybody that's do you know who?
You might get more than diddied at the Peter Thiel party. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Now, Clavicular later claimed that he was actually blacklisted from Thiel's exclusive events after publicly referring to them as Diddy parties. Maybe the truth hurts, I don't know. But he was blacklisted after saying that, apparently.
Man. I got to be on the grind, bro. They hate me if I don't stream.
Yo, I see you're like everywhere, bro. You're with fucking Nelk, you're with fucking 6ix9ine.
Yeah, bro.
Fucking Peter Thiel trying to get in your...
Dude, that was the craziest one. I swear.
You played that perfectly, bro.
Yeah, wait. Are we supposed to... Did she say that way? Yeah, she said to go that way. Yeah, I got blacklisted from his events now. That's what I heard.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? Yep.
Blacklisted from the Thiel Diddy parties, the Tiddy parties. Maybe not the Tiddy parties. Now, during a recent interview, Clavicular was directly questioned about supposed ties to the billionaire, and he was actually seemingly, a few times this came up, it seemed like he was actually beginning to get frustrated with people saying this about him.
This streamer just ended an alleged $15,000 interview early and kicked the interviewer out for bringing up a controversial billionaire, which really makes you wonder, is this guy just easy to rage bait, or is this all fake to get more views, or is the name Peter Thiel just that much of a trigger for Clavicular? Who knows? But that's what we're going to try to figure out in today's video.
Die on this word that literally nobody told me tonight
and
to do this.
Everyone knows you're a bullshit and you're a piece of shit, okay?
But this is like,
and you tried to come here. You tried to come here and do this shit you know, hit piece journalism all the time. But, you know, at the end of the day, turning that around on you, I got my 15,000.
It's not.
And you could get the out.
It's not. It's a good hit piece, but like.
So I'm gonna wait. Are we live on your channel, right? Yeah. Okay, let's hold it up.
I can't believe that the lore right now is that I'm Peter Thiel funded. This is nuts.
You literally are.
Guys, like
I have all the confirmation from my team, and it's like.
But show me the.
So what happened here? Well, Clavicular, who we've covered a couple times on this channel now, he was sitting down for what was supposed to be a 30-minute interview with another controversial content creator by the name of Michaela Lawless, who goes by Mika. According to her, she paid $15,000 for a 30-minute interview, which is crazy. Bro is not worth 15 grand for 30 minutes, especially not for her. I'm obviously.
It kind of makes sense because he's got the motion right now. But anyway, the last thing I'm going to leave you with, this is one of my favorite channels that's been coming up recently, Trap University. Okay, this guy is legendary when it comes to talking about crime, hip-hop music, gangster rap, various gangs from all around the world. And he's been looking into Peter Thiel. He's been looking into Epstein. He's covered this in a few videos recently. And he basically investigated the interviewer's background and suggested that maybe she's the one with ties to Peter Thiel. This was a really interesting reverso card pull.
Than ever. But in my opinion, this woman, Micah, is who raises the most questions. So I had never heard of her, and somehow she had $15,000 to pay Clavicular for an interview. And out of everything she could have talked about, she chose to ask him about Palantir and Peter Thiel, which is completely outside of the world Clavicular lives in. This guy isn't involved in politics and fundraising. He walks around Miami and Arizona trying to have sex with women. Out of every influencer Peter Thiel could be associated with, I just failed to see why this guy would be one of them. So I did some research, and this woman is Michaela Lawless. I hope I said her last name right. And she doesn't even have 30,000 followers on Instagram, and she has less than 100,000 on TikTok. So if anything, it would appear that someone was funding her. And I'm just being fair, because even though I don't agree with everything this guy does, I won't pretend that this narrative makes sense. I'll admit that I was suspicious when he got upset about her asking him about Peter Thiel, but then I had to question, who is this girl? And who gave her $15,000 to pay someone for an interview? Especially in this era where everyone has a podcast. But apparently, she didn't just come out of nowhere, and she has a public LinkedIn profile that makes me very suspicious. She claims to work for a company in the private office of a Dubai prince, which right there shows that whatever she says needs to be analyzed, because it's well known that to be an influencer in the UAE, there are certain things you have to agree to say and not say. And despite going to college in Canada, she's been working in the UAE since at least 2022. And before that, it says she was a NFT collector? What the fuck am I reading? So it appears that she is funded by the royal family of Dubai, which I only say because she works as an advisor in the Sheikh's private office. But how does someone get in a position like this? It's clear that she already had money before 2022 if she was collecting NFTs, and she appears to have been a manager and actress in some type of children's series. But before that, in 2017, she was also some kind of host, interviewing very prominent people, as she even provided pictures of herself with the former president of Poland, which is something that she was apparently doing while she was a student at Ryerson University. So does the UAE want people to think that this random kick streamer was funded by Peter Thiel? Or does she truly believe this accusation for some unknown reason? Who gave her this information? Now, I will say, it's very interesting that Peter Thiel has made some pretty big investments in the UAE, which would fit with Clav's accusation that Michaela is being funded by Peter Thiel. But her being funded by Peter Thiel would only make sense if maybe Peter was trying to give back at Clavicular for turning down his party invitation.
Now, that's a really interesting theory. I could see Peter Thiel wanting to get back at Clavicular for turning down the party invitation. I've heard Peter Thiel is pretty vindictive. I believe he single-handedly brought down Gorka for exposing him, which actually was pretty interesting. But look, I don't have no problems with Peter Thiel. I don't want to have issues with Peter Thiel, but I do think all of this stuff connected to him is pretty dark. And I do think him basically saying that he doesn't want humanity to continue was one of the most chilling things I've ever seen. They call him the Antichrist on South Park. He is definitely not having some great PR. Very suspect things going on around him. But let me know what you guys think of Peter Thiel, man. Am I barking up the wrong tree? Am I messing with the wrong person? Palantir gonna be on my ass. I might have to buy some shares. I don't know. But listen, man, let me know what you guys thought of this. I think Peter Thiel is a very interesting character. I could dig into him more if you find this interesting. Pause. But yeah, let me know what you think, man. I'll be back with some more videos. I'm going to take a little break now and come back with some more topics this afternoon. But thank you for supporting. Thank you for watching. Very, very strange times we're living in. And I'm out for now. Thanks for watching. Peace.